Welcome everybody to episode number 79.
Hi, y'all.
Can you believe we're at 79?
No.
Wow.
79 good year.
Yeah. I seen some old friends yesterday on a virtual event. Some people who used to be in my mastermind, and they've gone off, done their own thing, and they're in different worlds now, and just happened to all connect on a virtual event yesterday for a couple hours. And they're like, "So Tim, what are you doing now?" And I'm like, "The only podcast I do is the one with my friend Gladys about drinking." And they're like, "What? You do a podcast about drinking?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I said the two of us were thrown together at an event and found out we had a very mutual love for different drinks and whiskeys, and we're like a match in heaven. Yeah.
That was definitely that. For those that don't know, it was serendipitous that we were both at the same location at the same time talking about. It came up somehow talking about whiskeys and talking about moonshine, and it just came together. So it's pretty exciting. Now we get to make.
I do believe you were in Texas when that happened.
Yes, was.
Yeah. See, I want to remind you of the Texas theme of this whole thing.
It's gonna get on my nerves. My shipped bag.
Shipped.
It's like Shipped does deliveries for Kroger, Target. They're actually owned by Target, or there's an affiliation with Target.
Yeah.
During COVID, I did a lot of deliveries through Shipped at Safeway, Fred Meyer, which is essentially Kroger now. Some Costco and Target. And so for people that had kids or were immunocompromised, I did their deliveries. I did their grocery shopping. So it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. It truly was.
And I truly want to say, during the pandemic, we found more recipes, more things that were so cool because we had time to try things, and I found a lot of food recipes as well as drink recipes. So
yeah, it was. I did a lot of. I always like to cook anyway. During that time, I remember trying to get flour or sugar, and it was like all out because everybody was making sourdough bread and they were baking and cookies, and it was like kind of fun.
There was a run on toilet paper and good food.
One time I had like a 12-pack, and she said, "Take a roll, take two, take all of it if you need it." I said, "I just got a 4-pack. I'm good. That'll last me. I'm fine. Thank you for the offer."
Yeah. So this weekend, we got our first egg from our chicken. Well, I don't know if you've seen that. I did the post with the first egg. I took a picture of it before I pulled it out of the bin. We did cook it up on Sunday morning. All right, we kind of split it. Gwen and I split it. And then yesterday, she made meatloaf, and we had a second one, so she put it in the meatloaf. So, but yeah.
Well, I thought about it because yesterday, Sean's neighbors, they're gone for a couple weeks, and so Sean's taking care of the chickens and the ducks. And so yesterday morning, because he works Sunday morning, he says, "I didn't get a chance. Could you take care of the chickens and the ducks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." And I'm like, but just like runs out, tells me, and then goes back to the office. And I'm like, and so what am I supposed to do? And so like an hour and a half later, I'm like, I stepped in, he's not on the phone, and he goes, "Did you take care of the chickens and the ducks?" And I said, "No, because I don't know what to do." And he goes, "So then I had to go hunting for the key to get in." Found it eventually. And then it's like going, okay, well, let's hope I do this right. And so I'm like, how do I get them out? And where's the thing? So I got the ducks out. And then as I'm getting the chickens out, I see an egg there. And I go, oh, there's an egg. What do we do with the egg? It's not like in the nest. It was kind of on the side. So I come back and report. And it's like, don't know how long it's been there. Leave it alone. It's like, okay. So and I thought about you because I was like, that was pretty exciting when you saw your egg. I was pretty excited to see the egg there. And I said, man, these aren't even my chickens, and I'm excited over an egg. I'm like, I can't even imagine you. So know that I thought about you yesterday morning.
It was cool stuff to actually see your first egg. I mean, because you got to think about, we've been dumping money into feeding these things for months. Right. And I built I expanded on Saturday. I expanded the I made a run between the actual coop that has a small fence and a fence that I built to expand the yard out a little bit.
Right.
And then I tightened up all this because all the big fence pen is one of those ones you get on Amazon that's zip tied on, and all the zip ties break, and you got to update them every couple of. So I spent a lot of my time Saturday fixing that whole thing up, and I made this whole big cool rig for him to go back and forth, and my reward was I got an egg. So,
Cool.
other than that, Glenn did and I did on Saturday. So, you know, if you guys just notice, I'm kind of feeling congested up. I have been going in and out for the past 2 weeks of head cold, sickness, runny, sinuses, allergies, no fever, right? But just all this head junk, you know, and it's just, yeah. So if I sound a little congested, I am. I still can taste and smell, though. I did taste those suckers out because if that doesn't work, the show don't work. If those two tools don't work, the show kind of is like, yeah.
Defeats the purpose. Like I'm eating this, I'm drinking this, but I don't taste anything. It defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that today, well, not just because I'm wearing red, but I'm wearing my red lipstick. So this particular lipstick is from Viva Cosmetic. I met the founder, she's the founder of the Jefas. She's in Northern California. And she had been in a lot of working in the industry, but was struggling with, hey, you know, I don't see people that look like me, you know? And so when she was working at Google, they're like, oh, what kitchen do you work at? And she's like, I don't work in the kitchen, you know, I'm in marketing. Like marketing. And they're looking at her all weird, you know. She worked at Sephora and a few other places, but she came up with her own little box of the jefas, which is because she's very Spanglish, you know, the English and the Spanish, so the bosses. And this red lipstick is supposed to be taco proof. And I said, well, I'm going to be having some fried chicken and some homemade chicken noodle soup. So I'm going to put on the red lipstick and give that a try. And the cool thing is that when she spoke at the Latino breakfast, it was the Latino Heritage Month breakfast back on September 15th. She, you know, we're talking, and this beautiful young lady sitting next to me. It's like, oh, so what do you do? And she goes, oh, my name's such and such. I do this. And then we start talking. I'm like, oh my goodness, you're one of the speakers. He's like, I need a selfie. So we did the selfie. It was so cool. And of course I had his support. So I'm like, you put a box aside. I want a box. So that was kind of cool. And so my friend Mary, she's all into the beauty stuff. So she's going to get this. But I'm like, the red lipstick, the taco proof lipstick, I'm going to have to try it out. So we'll see if it stays on. And the cool thing is that a lot of the lipsticks, you're supposed to put on like something on top to keep it there. And then you have to keep, so this one, it's not drying out my lips. It doesn't give my lips this funky feel that some of them do where they're burning your lips. You're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. So thus far, I'm like, okay, it's just a little bit brighter than I'm used to, but I got to check it out. Yeah, so that's
you're doing pretty nice there in red. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I did think this morning, you know, when we think about what we wear on what days, I've learned I stopped wearing white on this podcast day. Yes, right? Because white ends up with something dripped on it every time. But if I wear black, it won't happen. So I wear black.
So today, well, technically the reason I have chicken noodle soup is that Sean's mom has been sick and she had wanted chicken noodle soup. And so the sister had gone to Costco to get her chicken noodle soup and they didn't have any. And she waited and waited and waited and they didn't have any. And they were making it supposedly, but they weren't bringing it out. So she had to call mom and say, no chicken noodle soup. And so since I was making acorn squash yesterday, and then on top was the chicken, but it was like a chicken enchilada with the enchilada sauce and all. And so I had to make chicken, so I made chicken soup. And then I was like, well, she wanted chicken noodles, so might as well throw that in there. So then, of course, there was a lot of leftovers, so I brought some home. And usually I just like chicken soup, or I cook the rice and then I put the soup on top, and it's delicious. This time it is chicken noodle soup. Yeah, and the way that I do that's a little different is that I do add cilantro, avocado, and lemon juice. So that's
so your noodles, are they those round, those rigatoni ones?
Yeah.
Good noodles in a soup. Yeah.
Fried chicken. So this is I did. What I did is that I was going to go to Boston's, which is a restaurant. They're well known for their fried chicken. But because I was going to have the noodles, I didn't want to have too much of something. So I said, you know what? Let me go to Kroger and pick up some of their fried chicken. Well,
That's what I got. They have those little $5 packs. Yeah.
So I got it because it was on sale. So what I did is that I threw it in the air fryer to crisp it up, and then my summer slaw, because I love all the colors. Look at that summer slaw.
Oh, I didn't do the summer slaw. I just did a Kroger slaw, but same thing.
There you go. I like
chickens, but I got just a Kroger slaw that I've got in here. But we originally were planning this episode to do chicken, but I called Gladys this morning. We were talking about the show. I said, I want to do a little tweak, and I want to make it comfort foods because of the fact that I've been feeling this crap in the head. And it's when she told me she did the chicken noodle soup, and I'm like, this could be anything, because over the weekend, all right, we actually went and opened up one of our cookbooks, and we found like things to cook. It was a little cold dip. So we did this. All right. It's a acorn squash and pear soup.
Nice.
I'm telling you, it is really good. And when I called last morning, I'm like, I'm going to do this soup on the show because it's so good.
Yeah.
We did have like basic, tasting of beers and lagers. All right. I have a couple different ciders and stuff. I actually have one ale in there that I may grab it still because I found it on the shelf and I thought it was really unique. But of course, I'm going to go with my amber lager from 4 Sixes, which I love. All right. The Grit and Glory 4 Sixes. And Austin East Ciders had a pineapple cider.
Ah.
So
nice.
But I'm going to grab this other ale I have sitting in my refrigerator here in the office. Just a very unique name. I thought, if we're going to talk comfort foods down here in Texas, all right, the thing that's going on is the state fair. And there's something you have at every state fair you go to. You know what that is, right?
Besides corn dog?
Other than a corn dog, that's one of them. There's one other thing you have at state fair.
You got lemonade and corn dog are two things that I think about state fairs.
How about
funnel cake? Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
I see this and I'm like, funnel cake ale. I have to buy a can just to see what it's like, right?
No, I'm going to have to look for funnel cake ale. So what I
don't know if I'm going to like funnel cake ale. I love funnel cake, right? It is huge. I love it. It's a fair thing. I love funnel cake. All right. And we used to do at our house, rather than going to state fair, we started doing what we called a fair food day. Okay. Where basically Gwen loves to cook. You put Gwen in a kitchen. I really want to redo our kitchen again so it's nice, because she loves a good kitchen, loves to cook in it. And fair food day, everybody just says, this is what I want deep fried. And she goes through and finds the recipes. We've done everything: deep fried Oreos, deep fried cheese, deep fried, ice cream, all that stuff.
Wow.
I haven't done deep fried coleslaw yet.
So what I ended up getting, so on Saturday I did my run for beer, because it's helping a nonprofit. Oregon Wild is the latest one that we've been supporting. So every time somebody buys a ticket for the race, they're helping support a local nonprofit, which is Oregon Wild helps protect the wildlife and the trees and the hiking trails and the animals, what have you. So there was over 200 people at this event at, and I actually do have at Breakside. They're the solo cups, but they have their name on their Breakside. Breakside started back in 2010. By 2014, they had won the best IPA across the U.S. So they've gotten a lot of accolades. So in the race, it's not officially timed or anything, and it's a fun run, walk, what have you. Well, I was the first female to finish. And so besides getting my picture taken with this golden growler and putting my name on it, I get a 4 or 6-pack. Well, I ended up picking True Gold Golden Ale. They didn't have an amber ale, but they had the golden ale. So I ended up picking this one up. So thank you, Oregon Running Series, and Nathan, one of the founders, because the first male and first female, we get our picture taken and we get beer. So besides the token, we have wooden tokens that we turn that in for a free beer. I'm part of the brew crew, so I get 2 tokens. I don't always use them. A lot of time I give them away. But the first male, first female, and this one I'm going to work for, because as I was getting to the end and Maverick's wiki, this young lady is about to pass me and she starts passing me and I'm like, oh no, and I got to cross the street and Maverick's going. And that last block, I'm like booking it because I'm like, I have been working my tush off. I am not letting a young girl just pass me.
Someone else is beating me, yeah.
So I finished right before her, and then of course I'm dying as soon as oh my goodness, popping and popping. She gets water. She is so cool. She gives me a high five and then hands me ice cold water. I thought that was the coolest thing, and that's part of being in a running community, that you get a lot of good people out there. So that was kind of fun. So for this one, it's now a year-round option for them, because Breakside has been going from just being local here in Oregon to truly being a national brand. So I think that's kind of cool and I didn't know this until I started looking into them and going, oh, what am I going to do? Because I want to make sure that I'm doing the rights, doing as much as I can for the local people, but then to actually get more information on them on stuff, that was kind of fun. So I do have to, thank Nathan for that. And I'm going to give me 1 second, because I know I had some information on this particular golden ale, which I haven't tried yet. So that's kind of the fun part. It's a golden ale, and this is a 5.1 alcohol by volume. They use the Galaxy and Mosaic hops, and that is supposed to make it with body, but very drinkable and approachable. So it balances it out, making it a lager-like beer that has a lot of flavor, but it doesn't have the bitterness. So that's what happens with certain beers, is that it can be bitter, but this one's just a nice cold brew after a run. And so that's this one. I'm like, oh no, that's pretty cool. It has won a couple of medals: the best craft beer, bronze medal, summer ale, pale ale, and Oregon Beer Awards silver medalist for blonde and light ale. So that was this one. The other thing that I brought that I haven't opened up, I did try, but this one I haven't tried at all, is San Juan, because this one is doubles, woman owned. It started in Washington, and this one is 8.4 alcohol by volume, especially for a seltzer. You don't find that very often. They have multiple packs. This one, it happened to be that they were tasting it at Kroger, and so I got to taste it. So San Juan doubles 8.4, which is double the normal alcohol from most seltzers. This one comes with white peach, cucumber mint, which has a kind of a mojito-esque flavor, watermelon, and the huckleberry. The huckleberry was my favorite. I thought it was going to be sweet, and it's not. So this one's pretty yummy. So those were kind of what I thought would go with comfort, and with fried chicken first, but then with comfort, definitely I felt this actually would flow very nicely. So I'm going to actually open up the beer, because I think the beer is the one that would taste the best when it comes to fried chicken, because fried chicken you can have year round, and it would go well with chicken soup. So that's kind of where I came up with that. So
I tasted my soup. My soup got a little cold. I probably should have heated it a little bit more, but I do the chickens, and I was gonna do the sample today first of this funnel cake ale, just to see what it's like.
Good idea. So when it comes to comfort food, and of course I was looking at what's the history of fried chicken, and then I got into comfort foods. And comfort food is anything that's nostalgic or sentimental. And a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, that means a lot of calories, a lot of carbs, and simple preparation. But it can vary from person to person. And the term comfort food has been tracked back to 1966, where there was a post on the Palm Beach Post that stated that adults who were under severe emotional distress turned to what they called comfort food associated with security when they were in like childhood, like poached eggs and chicken soup, hence chicken soup. And Lisa Minnelli also used the term in a modern meaning, admitting to craving a hamburger. So a comfort food for her, it was a hamburger.
Well, I get that. Hamburger, my favorite. Yeah.
Right. And then it wasn't until the 1970s that it became more popular, where various potatoes and chicken soups, but it has really progressed and it has been more specific person to person. But it really has become a theme in the US. But even when the trends were of less fat and low carb, even then it did not get rid of comfort food. And then it's strengthened in 2020 because of the pandemic. More people went back to comfort food because they wanted to be nostalgic and feeling a sense of belonging and just comfort. But what psychology studies have done with comfort food is stating that consuming energy dense, high calorie, high fat salts or sugars are a trigger for the reward system, which gives that pleasure of emotional elation and relaxation, which includes comfort food, coffee, and chocolate. And when we're looking at fried chicken and the soups,
coffee is not a comfort food. Coffee is a necessity every morning. That's the other podcast we'll start sometime, is a coffee podcast. Yeah.
There's so many coffees out there. And the other thing that was quite interesting, because I thought about you, Tim, was that males prefer warm, hearty, meal-related comfort foods, such as steaks, casseroles, and soups, while females, they're more into snacks related, such as chocolate and ice cream. And younger people prefer snack-like comfort foods and over those that are over 55 years of age. Now, me, I'm not a big chocolate and ice cream, although I will eat them. I would rather have a casserole or a soup or a steak. That for me is more comforting. And it also suggests that the consumption of comfort food is triggered in men by positive emotions and in women by negative emotions. So that was like, whoa, that was actually kind of interesting to find out that men will have comfort food because they feel good, whereas women will have comfort food because we've had a sad day. And I'm like, well, I usually have my comfort food when I don't feel so good.
Well, no. I'm dealing with a sickness almost always. One of the things that I get when I'm dealing with my sickness is, and is my comfort healing soup is wonton soup. I'm talking a good wonton soup now. All right, good broth to it. It's got to have some good spice to it, right? That's my go-to, right? It is what I call my healing soup, right? I know some stuff in the chat here that's been put in there. All right, well, Anita asked the question, what is original, authentic American food? There's a ton of it, and all of it falls in the category of comfort food, believe it or not. But Robert brings up a good one here. A 12-inch thin crust pizza with a little bit of ranch dressing drizzled on top. I agree with you. I'm not a ranch dressing on my pizza guy, but I do love a good thin crust pizza. And for me, the ranch dressing with a wings, a buffalo wing, or a boneless buffalo wing, right? I love that. So he also put down here ice cream, plenty of ice cream. Now, we started when we moved up here, keeping in our freezer all the time. They're called Bluebell's Moo Bars. They're vanilla ice cream dipped in chocolate. Our things. I have lately, every now and then, I keep a thing of Hershey's chocolate bars in here. I love every now and then. I just want a Hershey's chocolate bar. Don't know why. Just do. So anyway.
A bar not with ice cream, not with anything else?
No, just by itself. Robert here says he loves wonton soup as well. So yeah.
We have ones down here.
Yeah.
That my friend will drive 45 minutes to come to Long's. Well, she says she's coming to see me. I think she's coming for the wonton soup, because the wonton soup is really good wonton soup, delicious broth. But they also put the barbecue pork. They have chicken. It has pieces of steak and shrimp, so it's got everything. And all the veggies are still crispy and crunchy and just so fresh. It's absolutely delicious.
So this funnel cake ale, sweet, creamy, and I'm not talking like sugary sweet. I'm talking like a sweet ale. You know what I mean? So you still have your regular hops to it, but you got a sweet, creamy aftertaste.
Okay.
All right. It still tastes like a good beer, but it does have that. It has a very unique, sweet, creamy aftertaste. So. I don't know as though I'd drink 3 or 4 of them. I think this is one of those beers you'd have one of. It's a great thing to try. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not something I would drink every day.
So what I'm with this golden ale, it has good flavor. It really is. This one, just with the chicken, it tastes really good. Because it's a summer slaw, it has a slight sweetness to it. It's not as good with the slaw, but just the chicken itself, it has very good balance. I think it tones down the saltiness that you get on fried chicken. And mind you, I was thinking of making fried chicken. Fried chicken is simple yet so messy. And I'm like, I don't feel like dealing with this mess. It's been a couple of years since I last made fried chicken, and it is just such a mess. Oil everywhere. And it's like, you know what? I'd rather just go and buy some good fried chicken.
No, when I make mine, and I remember, you know what I mean? I used to take chicken strips and fry them. Like I wouldn't do like whole pieces of chicken. It's just strips to fry up. I batter them. All right. I've done it with coconut oil. All right. But I also, olive oil is my favorite to do it with, is olive oil. But anyway, I've done it with coconut oil, and I just get a little bit in the pan, and I usually put the strips in there, and I'll put a lid on it. So it doesn't splatter out. It's splattering underneath the lid. And then I flip it. By the time I do my second round, the pot is now warmed up, and the second round gets a little more crispy. You know what I mean? Because the heat a little bit more. And I've done that where I've actually cut up the chicken, made the batter. All right, battered them. All right, flour. I make my own coating to go on to them. I don't use the pan fried stuff, but I have my own version of 11 herbs and spices. All right. Yeah. I double dip them. So I do, so they're trying to get extra crispy, right? I've done all of that. Cut them up, done the dip, all right, done the battering, all right, put them in the pan, fried them, eaten it, and cleaned it up in under an hour once.
Wow.
All right, because was only cooking for one. Gwen wasn't here. All right, nobody else is at the house, so like I'm cooking for one. I can do it real quick because I know what I want. I know it's going to take about 5-6 strips. That I'm hungry, and then I'll usually steam some peas or beans to go with it, and that's it. So yeah. But
I have one of those mesh screens that are supposed to keep things from splattering. Yeah. It just seems it still gets everywhere.
It does.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
I'm not dripping it in the oil. It's just a little bit of oil on the pan. So it can make your pan stick. It can make it stick to the pan. But all right, if you do it the right way, as soon as I'm done cooking with the pan, I know I'm done. I get the pan soaking in oil or soaking in water while I'm eating. And I have one of those little plastic. It's almost like a plastic spatula. Okay. That I'm done. You're just scraping the bits off the bottom of the pan.
So, I normally
joining in.
So, what did she say?
Lynn just stopped in to say hi. Sorry about that, guys.
Chicken noodle soup. It was always chicken soup, and I used to love adding just cooked rice at the bottom of my bowl. Then the piping hot broth, and then I'd add the chicken. And growing up, it was always a piece of chicken and then very coarsely chopped veggies. And it wasn't until as an adult when I started finely chopping my veggies. Mind you, we normally had finely chopped veggies, except for when we had soup. With soup, it was always very chunky. And I didn't care for soup. But once I was an adult and I started chopping everything into smaller pieces, I realized I really liked it because I was able to get a bite of everything versus having to take a bite of the chicken and then try to, dish for the carrot and the celery. And the, it's just so now I get, a bite of everything because everything is cut small. And now with noodles, it's a little different.
Are you a stew type person? Like, Gwen likes a stew. She throws everything in the pot. I'm not. Like, I'm not a I have too many things in there, right? A few vegetables into it, a little bit of chicken, a little bit, that's my kind of soups. All right. Okay. This pear and squash soup, which the recipe was pumpkin and pear, but we got squash because we had squash out of our garden to put into it. That's a different one. That's like, kind of like a thicker soup. My other thick soup that I love is split pea soup. Now, split pea, you can chop up a few carrots in there, but don't put carrots in there and beans and I don't want all that stuff. No, I want the split pea soup. Maybe put a little bit of carrots in there, some salt, some pepper. I'm good. That's my stuff.
Big honking ham hock.
Yeah. If you cook it in a ham hock, yeah.
But yeah, definitely I throw in carrots carrots and onions into the split pea with the seasonings and the ham hock, and I keep it very simple. Yeah. My chicken soup usually has onions, tomatoes, carrots, celery. That's what it cooks with, and the chicken, of course. And then I make my broth using the Knorr. So I use Knorr because that's what I grew up with, and then I will serve it and then add lemon to it, maybe some hot sauce, cilantro, and avocado. So that's what goes on it. And then with the tortilla on the side. My beef soup is usually the beef, the shank in there. I'll throw in cabbage, carrots, potatoes, and it's called the chayote. I don't know what it is in English, but it's kind of a pear-looking veggie. That's also green, and so that goes in there, and corn, like whole corn, so that goes into my big pot. So most of my soups are pretty simple. Now my chili, I throw in everything into my chili. If I have green beans, they go in there. Carrots go in there. Mushrooms go in there. It's like my chili. I'm like, what else do I have? And then I will start throwing the kitchen sink into my chili.
No, I kind of think like my chili. That's a whole other recipe I do. I've got a venison chili I do that I think it's peppers. 2 or 3 different kinds of peppers I put into it. I get like stewed tomatoes in mine. I don't just put a tomato paste or tomato sauce into mine. I make actual stewed tomatoes in there. I like to cut up scallion onions, cut up red onion. All right, to put in there. And of course, I've got to cut up my peppers. I've got to get me some fresh, hot peppers to chop up and put in there and let them cook into the meat, right? I always put a good beer in mine. Always got a good beer. I don't do my cheap beer in my chili. I will boil my shrimp in cheap beer, but I will not put cheap beer in my chili.
Do you do like a red, or a porter? What do you do? Just the richer, or do you
with the oh god, what's the one you don't like?
IPA.
IPA. A good IPA. Yeah.
Because it tastes like grapefruit.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I cook with wine and beer, and sometimes I put it in my food too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Made a delicious chanterelle sauce. It was mushrooms with scallion. No, it wasn't scallion. Sorry, shallots, garlic, and sautéed that. Threw in the chanterelles. Then I threw in wine, some white wine, and very little bit of chicken broth just to get a little bit more saucy. and it was absolutely delicious. And it was paired on the side with the steaks that Sean made. But normally, what I do with the sauce, I add cream to it, and then I throw pasta in there.
Yeah.
And so it's this delicious mushroom white sauce on like a fettuccine or a thin spaghetti, and it is absolutely delicious. And you can throw in some shrimp in there if you'd like, but it's adding a little bit of wine here or beer there, it so enhances the taste of food.
It does so much to the taste that you don't know. I actually have down here I got it stuck here. The one ranch I went to visit for Craig's event over the summer, one of the guys there gave me a secret for doing my briskets in my smoker. And he said, before you cook it, you soak it in Dr. Pepper for 24 hours.
Ah, okay.
I'm like,
and you're like,
oh,
darn.
Dr. Pepper? Really? I'm like, because I'm thinking beef and Dr. Pepper as a soak, because I make this, like when I do pheasants and stuff like this, I make this brine for it that I let it sit in for 24 hours to give it the juiciness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it with chickens because chickens come out pretty moist, but like your pheasants and stuff like that are a pretty dry bird. So you got to put them in a brine for quite a long while. I never thought about soaking something in Dr. Pepper. I don't think I'd soak a bird in Dr. Pepper. I think that would ruin the taste to it.
Okay.
But I would think on a brisket, a good soak on the brisket would probably be a really good lager, maybe a good red lager, right?
Oh, to do next time I make brisket.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I always like getting new ideas. I'll experiment. I'll try new things. It's kind of fun to experiment. When I made the enchilada chicken, the roommate said, "Oh, I thought this was an experiment." I said, "No, I've been making this for years. This is, I normally make my own enchilada sauce. This time I didn't. I bought it just to save a little bit of time. But truly, I was like, yeah, this is normal. This is no big deal. But you get this acorn squash that just has this creaminess in there, and then you get the spiciness from the enchilada sauce and the chicken, and you just bring it together, and it is so earthy and absolutely delicious. Well, while I was roasting the acorn squash, I also roasted a couple of sweet potatoes. So what I did is that I have a little sweet potato here, threw some butter and some brown sugar. Another comfort food. This would be a delicious comfort dessert, because it's already been cooked. I'll throw it in the microwave for 30 seconds to help melt the butter. And then I will, mix it all together, and this will be absolutely delicious. The other thing that for me is comfort, it's a special hot cocoa, which means having a hot cocoa and then adding whiskey to it. Sometimes tequila, but for the most part, it's throw a whiskey or a bourbon, whatever I might have on hand, and that becomes
Sambuca. I love Sambuca in my coffees and my cocos. Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought about putting it in hot cocoa. That might actually be okay. I'll have to set a little bit aside because
orange. The other thing is an orange liqueur.
Chambord. Did I buy some? I think I got a little guy Chambord. Yeah. So
that little bit of orange taste to it. All right. Especially you can get it like a Valencia orange taste. Valencia and cocoa go very, very well together. Yeah.
Yeah. Orange and chocolate.
Yep.
So those are some of my comfort foods. I'm not going to be opening up to San Juan, but if y'all find it out there, it should be able to find the different flavors that they have. They have their traditional. These are their doubles. The traditional ones are half the alcohol by volume, and they do taste better than White Claw. Sorry, White Claw.
Yeah. So I opened up the pineapple cider. It's like a pineapple juice with a tang to it.
Do you like pineapple juice?
I do. As a matter of fact, that's the juice I would drink to get my vitamin C in the morning. I would drink that over orange. I might drink grapefruit, but I prefer pineapple over orange. I prefer grapefruit over orange. You know what I mean? I know you would be more orange because I don't get into grapefruit either. So yeah. Right.
But I do have a couple of little cans of pineapple juice that I still have hanging around from a couple of weeks back, 2 or 3 weeks back, whatever it was. But yeah, orange juice is good with the pineapple juice, mixing that up, making a little smoothie out of that.
I've
Non-alcoholic.
actually taken, because I have the juicer, I've taken real pineapple, real orange, real cantaloupe, and then put in some carrots and made that as a juice.
Okay.
So that's a good juice that I'll make a pint of it, and I'll take shots of it, like 2 shots a day. So as opposed to a full cup of orange juice, I'll take that in shots. So
Interesting. Okay. My cousin, he would make all his drinks and then put them in glasses, cover them in plastic, and throw them in the fridge. And that way, in the morning, he just grabbed it and drank it.
yeah.
You don't have to think about it. It's just done.
Well, that's part of the things I'm doing with the juice. I don't do too many juices in there because I don't want to have too many containers going. And there's some juices that just after the second day are not as good, right?
Right.
And that's why I make them by the day what I need for that batch, and that's it. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like opening a beer. You don't open a can of beer and let it sit in your refrigerator and finish it tomorrow.
Okay.
It's not the same, guys. Now wine, they have different things that you can save the wine till the next day. And if you forget to get that wine, it's always good to cook for the next month.
Mm-hmm.
Add it to everything you got.
Which I have done. It's like, oh, got to drink that. Well, let me cook with it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So when is it? We read the report when it is guys and girls do comfort foods. You personally, name a time that you wanted just a comfort food.
When I'm sick.
Huh?
When I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
Or when it's pouring down rain outside and it's just really cold. And I just want to be inside with the fireplace, my blankie, a warm soup, special hot cocoa, football or a movie or something on where I could just be lazy and comfy. That is my idea of comfort food, even more than when I'm sick. When I'm sick, I want it because I want to feel better.
Yeah.
But if I just want to really enjoy comfort food, it's on a just drizzly, ugly day outside. It's either snowing or cold. And I'm like, I'm going nowhere and I'm going to stay in my slippers. That's the kind of day I definitely want some comfort food that I can make and then just get all comfy and relax and enjoy it.
For me, it's the same thing, or it's just miserable weather. Yeah, same thing. That's when I want it most. When I don't feel good, all right, I want to go with something that I know will feed me. All right, I know won't irritate whatever it is I got. So that's what comfort food comes down to. Something that's comfortable. I know I can get in, feed myself, nurture myself enough to then sit and relax. So.
And there's so much good that comes out of the bone broth, all the bones, it just all that goodness and richness in there, that to me it just feels like it's nourishment. It's gonna make me better. Yeah. It's not only nourishing me to keep healthy, but it's also nourishing me to the point of that it's killing all the stuff in there because it's making me stronger. So I've always had good positive thoughts about chicken soup more than any other soup.
Oh, okay. My other soup that I love as a comfort, tomato soup with grilled cheese. Yeah.
Num, 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 num.
Yes.
First time I was introduced to that, I thought it was weird. And then I tried it and I went, oh, this is very yummy.
Okay. And I've gone to restaurants where they have, we don't have just grilled cheese. We have cheese and grilled cheese and ham. And I'm like, take the ham off. I don't want the ham. I want the soup. All right, and you remember, is it? I forget which one of the restaurants that actually has their tomato basil. Is like, I'll go get their tomato basil, just have a cup of it in the middle of the week because it's just so good. I can't think of the name of the restaurant that has it, but anyway. No.
Yeah, so that's funny. It's like, give me a ham and cheese, hold the ham.
Yeah, exactly. No.
It's like, it's easy enough. Just hold the ham. Make me and give me a tomato soup. That's really good. Well, I don't know, but it looks like my lipstick held down.
It sure does. I guess that's a good testimonial for that lipstick tonight, huh?
Yeah. So check out the Jefas. They're online. They're up and coming. Everything is e-commerce right now. She doesn't have a brick and mortar just yet. But yeah, my lipstick that's around. Oh, there it is. This particular red is I don't even know if it has a color. I know it was a limited edition that we got that particular day. Oh, without limits, sin límites. So this is the sin límites edition. Can't really read that, but here's the Viva Cosmetics. There it is.
Yeah, it's a light hit and just a little bit weird, but yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. I had to try it out because I'm like, I'm gonna be eating most of the time my lipstick's off by the end of the episode because I'm stuffing my face.
Yeah.
Not always, but most of the time I'm stuffing my face.
A new lipstick for the podcast. Yes. Did you ever think a food podcast would be talking about what lipstick you put on?
No, not really at all.
Or imagine this: you want to go out and have drinks, but every time you take a sip of your drink, your lipstick comes off. What guy's gonna catch you now?
Right. And then it winds up in the glass. It's like, I'm constantly like, well, the one good thing is that you know exactly where you took the last sip. And so then you continue to sip in the same spot so that you don't have, lip marks all over around I hate that. Oh, that annoys me. It's like, I don't want lipstick marks all around my glass.
Oh, I would do that just to be artsy. I know.
You're going to be kissing the whole glass all around.
Yes. So I had in the early 2000s, we had this group I was involved with. We're always playing practical jokes. Imagine playing practical jokes on somebody, and the girl that I was seeing at the time, we did this one guy's car where we wrapped it in saran wrap. And then he's like, "That's all you got?" So then the next day we wrapped it in saran wrap and wrapped it to the telephone pole next to it. And then my girlfriend, all right, and one of her friends, they put lipstick on and put lipstick kisses all over the windows and all over everything that he couldn't get off. And he was a single guy at the time, but he was dating a girl. And basically she's like, "What the hell? Who kissed your car?"
It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's like Tim's girlfriend did, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's bad. The worst we ever did, we put bows all over somebody's vehicle. I was helping a friend with that. And it was during the winter, I guess it was. So we're like having to get a towel. We're drying and sticking because
the car's all wet. Oh my God.
I had to get permission to get out of class to do that. I always had a reason to get out of class. I always had permission for one reason or another. So I was able to get out of class and go help her do that. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
It looked really cool, actually. It looked really pretty because it was the small bows. It wasn't the big bows. So it was a lot of bows. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, a lot of bows.
So as we close to the top of the hour, we would be remiss if we did not mention, all right, our Insiders Club. Of course, I'm going to let you do it again.
Oh, of course you are. Switch it up. So make sure you go to LikeTheWayYouDrink.com, because if you are part of the Insiders Club, you are the first to know when things are happening. You will have the opportunity to join Tim and me when we do special get-togethers via Zoom. We'll be sharing recipes. We'll be sharing cocktails. You will know if we're doing a gathering ahead of time, so you can get your ingredients together and we will make cocktails together. Additionally, in case you hadn't heard, there is a big barrel of whiskey, another barrel of gin, and a smaller barrel of rye. The two bigger barrels will yield about 24 bottles. The small barrel will only yield 10 to 12 bottles of whiskey. You all that are part of the Insiders Club will be the first ones to know about this. And guess what? It's probably not going to get past the Insiders Club because all y'all will probably end up getting those.
I think just about all those 10 bottles are going right now. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But you will have first dibs, and you will have the opportunity to be part a group that is free to join. Some of the things, there will be cost involved, like if you get a bottle of whiskey or gin, there is a cost to it, and it's pretty much just reimbursement for the cost that I incurred, or that we've incurred to bottle these things. But you get to be first to know. You will have something that's going to be very special and unique that others will not have. You will also have the opportunity to try things and get swag probably that others will not have. You can be part of our what is it, our one fan. You can be the our podcast is fan, instead of fans, be part of the fan. So you'll be special. So make sure you go to likethewayyouDrink.com. You must be 21 or over to join, because of course this is a drinking podcast, therefore you must be 21 or over to even be listening to it. And if you do have, or if you feel that you might have a drinking problem, please seek help. That is so important to us. We do not want to do any of these things to harm anybody. We want to make sure you're safe. Some of the things we do, you can make them unalcoholic, which is kind of fun. And I will share with you, you can do this and then add the alcohol afterwards. So that it tastes delicious without the alcohol. The alcohol just adds a little bit of something in there. So go to likethewayyouDrink.com and join us today.
Yep, we'd love to have you guys on the Insiders Club. All right, got all kinds of unique things coming up. All right, the first year of the Insiders Club. All right, you guys are the guinea pigs. All right, but you guys get carried off into you're going to help us grow it into what will be the second year of the Insiders Club. So by all means, go join. All right, we have a few spots left to be able to get that 10 batch. All right. And we're growing this thing up, having fun while we do it, enjoying what we do along the way, because it's not about, we don't drink to get drunk. We drink to enjoy what we do. All right. We enjoy the taste. We enjoy the camaraderie. We enjoy matching things up. And we want to.
We don't drink it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we want to hang around with other people who feel the same. So, yeah. So. Other than that, we will go on to this show every week is brought to you by Gladys and I. Our businesses help pay for this show. It is our businesses that put everything up to make this show happen. And of course, you know what I mean? I am always a ladies first kind of guy.
Thank you so much, Tim. Gladys Boutwell, Insurance by Design. You can go to insurancedesignpros.com to check out all my services. But essentially, I help small businesses attract and retain quality staff through employee benefits. If you don't know that there's 101 different employee benefits out there for all budgets, reach out to me. Go to insurancedesignpros.com. On the upper left-hand corner, there is a little white paper that you can download, which will give you the ideas. But if you want to have a conversation, by all means, go to enrollnow.oregon.com and we'll schedule an appointment. If I cannot help you in your state, guess what? I know people all across the U.S., and I will find you an excellent broker that will take great care of you.
She knows somebody in Texas who's a friend of mine. Yeah.
True story on that. And this is my co-host, the wonderful Mr.
Hey guys, Tim Gillette. And Simple Easy Marketing has been my game for the years and years. I've been a marketing mentor, a marketing coach, a marketing podcaster, all that stuff. Last year, on a whim, I started Simple Easy Websites. We now have a couple dozen people who we have helped with websites. We're about getting you a web presence first, all right? Get you on the web so people know you, get to find out who you are, what you do, and how to get a hold of you. And then we build what we call a focused website. We want people, the moment they step on your page, we want them to follow the dots, the map that you have created to get them to the end of the line, to pick up the phone, whatever it takes, and call you. And that's how we write the content with you on your website to make that happen. If your website's not making you money, we can fix it. Just saying. That's my goal. So anyway, that's all I got to say for what I do. And I've enjoyed help putting this podcast together now for 2 years almost. Yeah, next month will be 2 years. Yeah.
Yep. The first week of November will be 2 years. Craziest time of year for me. And we did this, and I'm glad we did. It was like, if we had not started it then, we may not have started it, because we would have pushed it out to like February of the following year, and life happens and something would have happened, and we probably would not have started. There would have been an excuse why we wouldn't have. So we did start it during crazy time of year, but that's okay. We've been enjoying it this whole time.
And we originally started it, so you guys know, all right, we originally just started it All right. Gladys had an idea for us to go for the show. All right. Because she's known as Lady G. All right. And I was Mr. T. And, then we found out that LikeTheWayYouDrink.com was available. So we changed the name to Like the Way You Drink Podcast. Yeah. And rebranded it, the whole thing. And who knows? Maybe someday we'll trademark that. But anyway, it's been a fun time doing this podcast. And we will be back next week with something very unique and different. That's all I can say about it. If you were in the insiders, you'd know what it was.
Right.
Excuse me, that's that cough coming.
We're gonna let Tim go and relax and get better. He was a trooper, and he says, "No, we're not canceling. We're gonna have it, and I'm gonna have some delicious soup to make me feel better." So I said, "Okay,"
Yep.
and I said, "We're gonna cut it short," but yet we had so much to talk about, and it was comfort food that we got to enjoy. So
comfort food, baby.
Always.
So
that's right. Thanks all for being here.
all right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you guys next week.